Happy holidays to you from wherever you're watching us. Welcome to Channel 1 News Hour. Let's now focus on stories that have been making headlines throughout the day in the highlights. COVID-19 disruptions. Primary school heads concerned over influx of learners as government warns them against misappropriating 19 billion shillings allocated to schools. The return of Babayao. Ferdinand Waitito receives the green light from the Registrar of Political Parties to contest for Nairobi governor's seat. And flattening the curve. COVID-19 infection rate drops to 3.5% in the latest data released by government. Welcome back. Simon Karodha is our sign language interpreter. My name is Catherine Achieng'a. Remember, you can also follow us live on Facebook, KBC Channel 1 TV. We are also live on Twitter as well as on YouTube. Leave us a brief comment. I'll be glad to sample some of your views during this particular program. But let's focus on the stories that have been making news tonight. And we begin with education matters, where the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Professor George Magoha, has warned school heads against misappropriating funds meant to prepare institutions to accommodate physical learners. Now, Magoha sent out the warning as he revealed the government has set aside 19 billion shillings towards the reopening of schools next week. Let's focus on that news by Safina Cheng Oma.
Speaking at Obola Mixed Primary School in Seme Sub-County of Kisumu County, Education CS Professor George Magoha said that 4 billion shillings will be channeled towards the free primary education program, while 15 billion shillings will go towards secondary school education.
The government of the Republic of Kenya shall make sure that the 19 billion shillings that is required for this second term that we are going to start on the 4th is available.
At the same time, he pointed out that consultations with the National Treasury towards releasing the funds had neared completion, warning institutions against misappropriating the funds.
We are in the process together with my brother, CS Ukuri Atani. We are going to leave no stone unturned. Over 14 billion will go to secondary schools and about 4 billion will go to primary schools. Please use the money for the purposes for which it is meant. This is not the time for anything else. We shall follow by doing due diligence.
While cautioning against sending learners home over fee arrears, Magoha urged the school's administration to handle the issues on a case-by-case basis to block shrewd parents from taking advantage of the opportunity.
Remember that about 10 to 20% of the children you are sending home, by sending them home, you are blocking your access to heaven. You will not get there. You must make sure that you are sending a child home to a home where he will get something. Am I getting clear here? And there is also another group in between who can afford, but the money is not there because they have lost jobs. Make arrangements with them how they will pay the fee, but let the child remain in school.
He also pointed out that 500,000 desks have been delivered to schools, with 3 million needy children set to receive free masks. His assurance coming as a section of leaders from Kiambu County claimed that several schools are yet to adhere to the COVID-19 safety protocols ahead of reopening of schools in January.
We know that the government have set aside some funds which are supposed to go into these kind of activities. We have not received the funds as yet in our primary schools. But we did this. We talked to our friends because we want to be ready. We don't want our children to come to school, then we don't have washing stations. We are not ready for them. We want to get prepared.
So I think it is a joint effort from the leaders to the parents. The parents should try and facilitate the students to get more masks. The schools should try and make sure that the washing bays are also available. But I think, as we have stayed for a whole year, it is more detrimental when our students continue staying at home. I think it is a high time we bring them back to school, then we can learn how to live with COVID.
They also want the National Assembly's Education Committee to conduct an inspection tour of all learning institutions in the country to assess their state of preparedness. For Channel 1 News, I'm Safin Achieng'a.
And now primary school head teachers have expressed concerns that an influx of learners in public primary schools in January may be a litmus test for the implementation of COVID-19 containment measures in the learning institutions. Kenya Primary Schools Head Teachers Association Chairperson Nicholas Githemia says there has been little focus on mitigation of COVID-19 at the primary school level, a situation that has left head teachers very worried.
Public schools are bracing themselves for an influx of students come January as the true impact of COVID-19 on private schools continue to unfold. The impending reality has got primary school head teachers worried that the existing COVID-19 containment measures may fall short in ensuring the safety of learners come January.
We can see a bigger challenge if measures are not taken in place early enough. The social distances will be a very big challenge. We also have some challenges of maybe the teacher shortage when it comes to that distances and so forth. And we are asking the government to support the Teacher Service Commission by providing actually it's over 100,000 teachers needed if we are to meet the health protocols.
Primary school head teachers say little national focus on mitigation of COVID-19 pandemic at the primary school level has left them worried as to who is going to address health of the pupils in primary schools.
The government cannot run away from being the owners of all the processes and being the owners of all the people of this nation, bearing responsibility.
The concerns coming even as schools are encouraged to go an extra mile in ensuring strict adherence to all COVID-19 mitigation efforts.
Have your school missions, visions and goals adjusted to accommodate the Ministry of Health Protocols and Safety Standards. Establish your school culture to befit your needs at this time of pandemic.
As the country prepares to reopen schools for in-person learning, many private schools will remain shut after succumbing to the economic burden brought about by the lengthy suspension of learning. Yusufar, Channel 1 News.
And now the country continues to record a drop in COVID-19 infections with 69 positive cases confirmed on Monday. The numbers translating to 3.5% positivity rate, a drop from Sunday's 5% positivity rate. 6 more patients have lost their lives to the disease over the last 24 hours. Nancy Okware with the details.
For the second consecutive day, the number of COVID-19 infections remained below the 100 mark. The numbers indicating a drop in the positivity rate to 3.5% on Monday after 69 cases were confirmed from 1,987 samples tested. The total number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in the country is now at 95,992, with Nairobi recording 44 cases, Busia, Kilifi and Mombasa 5 cases each, and Kajiado 3 cases. Machakos, Meru, Nyamira, Kiambu, Nyandarua, Kitui and Nakuru each had 1 case. During this period, 98 patients recovered from the disease, 77 from the home-based care program and 21 from the various hospitals. The total number of recoveries now stands at 77,521. However, 6 patients succumbed to coronavirus, bringing the cumulative fatalities to 1,664. Currently, 673 patients are admitted in various health facilities and 3,386 on home-based isolation. That 4 patients are in the intensive care unit, while 7 are in the high dependency unit. Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
And now former Kiambu County Governor Ferdinand Waitito has received the green light from the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties to vie as an independent candidate for the Nairobi governor's seat. Now the registrar cleared Waitito on Monday after certifying his high mast and floodlight symbol and that he does not belong to any registered political party. Gladys Mungai with details of Ferdinand Waitito's latest attempt to jumpstart his political career.
Months after his impeachment as Kiambu County Governor, Ferdinand Waitito is back in Nairobi's political matrix. Baba Yao has been cleared by the Register of Political Parties to seek a stab at Nairobi's gubernatorial seat. Waitito, who was impeached in January 2020, will however need further clearance by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. If approved by IEBC, former Kiambu governor will join a growing list of aspirants seeking to replace Mike Sonko at City Hall. The list includes controversial Miguna, who has been endorsed by the Adwe Alliance Party. In a statement, the party says Miguna's candidature offers Nairobians a chance to reclaim the city's alleged lost glory that have previously been plundered by politicians who sought leadership for personal gains. Meanwhile, former Dagoretti South Member of Parliament Dennis Waweru and Agnes Kagure have also been given a green light to contest for Jubilee Party primaries in the Nairobi gubernatorial by-election. IEBC had directed political parties intending to participate in the by-election to submit the names of persons contesting in the party primaries and the date of the party primaries on or before Monday 28th December 2020. Meanwhile, the Speaker of the Senate has declared Machakos senatorial seat vacant. The Gazette notice gives the green light to the IEBC to announce a date for the by-elections for the seat that was left vacant after the death of Boniface Kabaka. Elsewhere, President Uhuru Kenyatta has sent a condolence message to the Mudavadi family following the death of Hannah Mudavadi. Hannah was a widow of the late Cabinet Minister Moses Mudamba Mudavadi and mother of former Vice President and Amani National Congress Party leader Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi.
Friends and relatives who would have liked to be with us may not be able to be with us during that period. So we are looking at the possibility of working on the burial arrangements the week after. But let me leave it at that without having to make any major pronouncements, because it requires consultative agreement with other family members. But I want to thank all the friends, relatives, Kenyans, the people at Nairobi Hospital, and other places who have, in one way or the other, been very, very supportive.
For Channel 1 News, I'm Gladys Mongai.
Of course, the focus now shifts to IEBC to see if indeed it will clear Ferdinand Waitito to be on the ballot, given that he was ousted out of office over integrity issues after he was impeached by Kiambu County government. So we'll be following up to see what really will happen. Will IEBC clear him to be on the ballot? Now we continue to move forward, and High Ridge Sub-Location Assistant Chief Justice Atieri Malunda has been released on a cash bail of 100,000 shillings and suspended from work by the court. Now, the chief denied charges of receiving a bribe of 100,000 shillings not to effect an eviction order. Senior Principal Magistrate Felix Kombo ordered the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution to present the documents for his interdiction in court. More details in the Scales of Justice segment.
The High Ridge Sub-Location Assistant Chief Justice Atieri Malunda faces 2 counts of receiving a bribe of 100,000 shillings from Mela Singh and Mandeep Chanan on the 11th of September 2017. He denied the charges and was released on a cash bill of 100,000.
Number 3, in terms of Section 62 of the ASECA, the accused is deemed interdicted upon plea and that upon the operation of law, and therefore his employer is to operationalize this process within 7 days, and a copy of the letter to be presented to court Friday. Number 4, the accused is barred from contacting or in any way interfering with persons who are or may be witnesses in this matter.
The case will be mentioned on the 18th of January 2021. Roy Otieno Ogenya has been charged with defiling a 17-year-old at the Mbagathi apartment in Gomo location. Roy's defense lawyer, Shadrach Wamboi, seeking lenient terms for him, argued that there was more than meets the eye in the case, citing his client is a student of medicine at the University of Nairobi. He was released on a cash bail of 100,000 shillings and one surety, an alternative bond of 300,000 shillings. The case will be mentioned on the 17th of January 2021. Elsewhere, Christopher Mathen Hayoni was charged with 2 counts of rape and conducting an indecent act with an adult without her consent on the 22nd of December 2020 at Mithor House in Nairobi. Appearing before Chief Magistrate Martha Mutuku, he was released on a cash bail of 100,000 shillings and an alternative bond of 3,000 shillings. The case will be mentioned on the 18th of January 2021 for pretrial directions. Finally, Lucas Lengesa Andeka denied 2 counts of impersonating a police officer on the 26th of December along Accra Road in Nairobi for the purpose of arresting Miguel Achieng'a and being in possession of handcuffs suspected to have been stolen or unlawfully attained. Appearing before Chief Magistrate Martha Mutuku, he was released on a cash bail of 100,000 shillings and an alternative bond of 200,000 shillings. The case will be mentioned on the 12th of January 2021. For Channel 1 News, I'm Sarafina Robbie.
Now, police have arrested a man wanted for cybercrime-related offences at JKIA as he attempted to board a flight to Nigeria. Meanwhile, a family in Turkana is demanding justice following the alleged murder of their kin whose body was found dumped on the roadside. More details with Timothy Kipnusu.
A somber mood has engulfed California village in Lodo, Turkana County after the body of a 17-year-old boy was retrieved on the roadside. It is not yet clear what led to his death, amid fear that he was killed in a revenge attack.
Watu walikuwa na grudge au tena huyo sura mbaya alikuwa amekea vijana wawili grudge. Na kijana mmoja si yako. Sasa ni kama amekamilisha mmoja, ni kama amebakisha mmoja. Huyu jamaa huyu jamaa vile si story vile imeenda hivyo. Sasa sisi hatuna maneno mingi tena na yeye.
The mother to the deceased said her son had gone to visit his friends to celebrate Christmas but never returned. She says her son was a class 8 student at Napeli Lim Primary School and was expected to sit for his national examinations KCPE next year.
Hatujajua ni nani, lakini kupitia CCTV tutajua ni mtu wa barabara ama ni watu ambaye wanaishi hapa. Na amani itakuwa. Tunaomba hata wakubwa yetu watusaidie.
The head teacher of the school has condemned the killing, calling on the security organs to fast-track investigations into his death.
We want to demand for justice. Na justice delayed is justice denied. Kwa hivyo tumekuja hapa tukitaka kama kijiji na kama nikiwa mwalimu wa mtoto na tukiwa familia, ndugu, wote ambao wamekuja hapa, tukitaka justice. Kitu cha kwanza tunaomba namna hivi. Tunaomba wale, kwa sababu hapa lazima kuna security hapa. Hii milango yote lazima kuna security. Wale watchmen washikwe na wako ndani. We are demanding for that. Number 2, we are also demanding footage of that CCTV. We are demanding that footage because that one will help us to unravel what made this kijana kawawa.
Elsewhere, detectives have arrested 2 suspected armed robbers, Melvin Amboka and James Gashie. The duo are facing robbery with violence charges after allegedly snatching a motorcycle from the owner. One other suspect believed to be the mastermind of a motorcycle stealing syndicate in Eastlands is still at large. Finally, Sanchez Charles Ogochukwu, wanted for cybercrimes, was arrested at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport with a Nigerian passport as he attempted to leave the country. He was intercepted at the airport en route to Nigeria. Timothy Kipnusu for Channel 1 News.
Well, that story by Timothy Kipnusu brings us to our first break on Channel 1 News Hour. Remember, we are live on Facebook, Twitter, as well as on YouTube. Leave us a brief comment and I will be glad to sample some of your views as we continue with the program. But for now, we take a short break, but we will be back in just a bit.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, Christmas imekuja mapema na quick bid. Lucky bidder ako hapa, tumpe ndivyo yake.
Ndio huyu anaitwa Penua. Heshimiwa na tumemheshimu.
Karibu.
Nduti ndio hii kifungu. Shika kifungu yako boss. Ulibidaje?
Niliingia kwa site ya quickbid.co.ke. Alafu nikafuata the process.
Oh yes.
Nikabid 158 na ndio nikaweza kubai nayo hii pikipiki.
Christmas hii hakuna kutembea. Ndio huyu mheshimiwa Kate. Tufanye aje? Kalia nduti, ndio hii ni ya customer, hiyo ni yako. Sawa? Kalia nduti, chukua helmet nini yako? Valia, leta nikushikie hii. Valia. Bas, quick bit wanahakikisha pia safety. Iko on point. Haya. Kalia nduti, Kate. Si twende tushughulikie wengine. Si ndio? Si twende tushughulikie wengine. Asanteni sana.
Jiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio ununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
On the next episode of Ashoka.
I hope you don't consider yourself a warrior by attacking this.
I have attacked you too.
That boy who had thrown a stone at the great Kichak is hiding in Takshashila. Whoever gives us vital information about him or helps us to catch him will be rewarded by the great and the powerful Kichak.
I wonder why you are defending a boy who has a traitor's blood flowing in his veins.
I'm Ashok, the son of Emperor Bindusar. I lost the gold coin that father gave me. I've lost it.
Simujifanya ni washindani. Ngoja siku ifike.
Mimi ni paka mwitu, nitakupa pura.
Ni usiku sasa, matatizo kuna nini?
Mtume! Nilikwambia wacha kuzungumza na mwanamke. She has no respect coming to my party.
Wacha kunipiga, nipige. Kuwa makini sana ule mke wako. Na usivyo tukugharimu.
Mamako mwenyewe. Wewe usiniudhi. Sawa, wewe ulimwona mamangu?
Huwezi kunisaidia. Nenda zako. To you too. Cheers.
Welcome back. You're watching Channel 1 News Hour. Now we move forward, and the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 proposes the inclusion of a new clause to give clarity on the responsibility of citizens as well as give life the words of the national anthem. In our continuing episode of the Constitution Review Proposals, Kevin Washira examines what is expected of you as a Kenyan citizen if the proposed Constitution Amendment Bill sails through. Let's take a look.
The new article spells out the responsibilities of a citizen or non-citizen, where applicable, that are key to building a prosperous, fair and secure nation. It seeks to inculcate virtues and set out moral principles which give life to the national anthem, that when individual thrives, the country thrives. The bill proposes the inclusion of a new Article 18A for every citizen to be held responsible for cultivating national unity on the basis of respecting Kenya's ethnic, intellectual, economic and cultural diversity. Every citizen will also be required to promote and protect the well-being of the family, including respect for their parents and elders. Every citizen will have a responsibility to practice ethical conduct and combat corruption. Further, it will be a must for every citizen to fulfill parental responsibilities towards their children. Every citizen will be required to develop his or her abilities and skills for the advancement of self, the community and the nation. The article also proposes to compel every citizen to honestly declare their income to lawful agencies and pay prescribed taxes and duties. The proposed law seeks to make it a responsibility of every citizen to respect private property and protect public property from waste and misuse. The law will also require every citizen to promote the unity and dignity of Africa and her people. Kevin Washira, Channel 1 News.
Those are some of the responsibilities that will be expected of you as a citizen in the event that the proposals contained in the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020 sail through. Now, elsewhere, a section of religious, I'll take that a different story, not that one, but it's about boat racing in Mombasa, where hundreds of spectators thronged the Mkupe Creek in Jomvu, Mombasa County to witness the annual Jomvu boat racing. The competition, which brought together 6 beach management units, was also used to showcase different forms of talent in the region.
As the year reaches its turning point, a cultural extravaganza has brought some much-needed comfort to residents of Jomvu in Mombasa County. The annual event was used to bid goodbye to a difficult year, one that has been plagued by numerous struggles such as COVID-19 pandemic. This year's boat racing event brought together 6 teams drawn from various beach managements in the area, as well as the Kenya Navy.
Tumefurahia kwa hayo mashindano yetu. Leo tumefight, tumekuwa kwanza, Mwenyezi Mungu ametujalia, na hata naomba Mheshimiwa Badi Twalib azidi kupata umri mrefu ili mashindano yaendelee, yazidi kuwa mazuri zaidi.
Lakini mwaka huu imeungwa mkono sana. Hata mnaona wananchi vile ambavyo wamejaa hapa, wamejaa kwa wingi, na vile vile tunaona kuwa participation ya Kenya Navy katika competition hii imetupa nguvu, kuwa ni jambo ambalo ni la kuendelea mbele.
Tunashukuru sana, kwani kila kipindi cha mwaka kifika wakati kama huu, wakati wa masiku kama haya, watu wameboeka. Yeye huleta rapsha kama hizi, wasanii mbalimbali kutoka Tanzania, kutoka Uganda wako hapa. Kulikuwa na race boating hapa ya maana sana, ili kwamba vijana wanajumuika, talenti zinaangaliwa, waimbaji wako hapa. Ama kwa kweli ni shukurani sana kwa Mwenyezi Mungu.
Jomvu Member of Parliament Badi Twalib said the annual extravaganza provides the perfect opportunity for locals to preserve and celebrate their rich culture.
Na nia na madhumuni hapa Mkupe ni kutekeleza ama kudumisha utamaduni wetu kwa kufanya competition ya boat racing, lakini tunatumia local canoes ambao ni madau ya kawaida.
The event, which attracts hundreds of both locals and visitors, is also used to showcase a casserole of talent and art.
Imenipa furaha kuona nimekusanyisha wananchi wangu wakati huu wa festive season kuja na family hapa. Tumewekea bouncing castles, tumewekea mambo ya face painting, tumewekea wasanii. Competition yenyewe inaendelea, na vile vile tunaona kuwa tumewapa mawaidha moja mbili.
For Channel 1 News, I am Emily K. Bade.
And now a section of religious leaders want the government to ease the countrywide curfew directives during New Year's Eve. The clerics argue that the lifting of the 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. curfew will allow the faithful to congregate in their places of worship and participate in prayers and the New Year Eve service. This and more in the County News Roundup.
As the countdown to ushering in of the year 2021 nears, a section of religious leaders from Uasin Gishu County has called on the government to ease the curfew. The group stating that 2020 has been a year with a myriad of challenges and there was need for prayers to sanctify 2021.
It's only one night, just some few hours. Watu wakutane, waombe Mungu atutangulie.
Meanwhile, West Pokot County Woman Representative Lillian Tomtom has called for unity among area leaders, arguing that political divisions are hurting development efforts in the region. The legislator also urged residents to shun the retrogressive practices such as female genital mutilation.
Kufanya kazi pamoja ama umoja ya viongozi inaleta nguvu, inaleta maendeleo, inaleta umoja, inaleta upendo na inasukuma kaunti mbele.
Finally, over 500 health workers within Samburu County have completed a mentorship training program on family planning and maternal health. The Afya Timiza program aims at improving maternal health and reducing mortality rates.
And now the program has reached its maturity, with over 500 healthcare workers graduating through the program, with the county taking over and owning up the program, the county appointing, a county mentorship coordinator to lead the process, the county committing resources to run the process in the future.
A number of, maternal deaths occur because, one, poor decision making by the community health volunteers, two, lack of proper monitoring, three, and delay in starting treatment, and therefore, so these are the critical gaps that we wanted to cover up.
Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Jackie Wambiru.
And now ambassadors from the 27 European Union member states have unanimously approved the EU-UK post-Brexit trade deal, paving the way for it to take effect. The deal is likely to become law on the 1st of January 2021 as the United Kingdom Parliament is expected to approve it on Wednesday. Under EU rules, the deal can provisionally take effect after it awaits a vote in the European Parliament in January.
The deal sets the framework for the trade once the United Kingdom leaves the European Union Single Market and Customs Union in 4 days' time. The deal, which ended 9 months of negotiations, will be approved by all 27 EU governments in writing on Tuesday. The deal ends nearly 50 years of UK membership to the bloc, covering a vast array of policies besides those governing common trade rules. Meanwhile, vote counting has begun in Niger after an election that could lead to the country's first peaceful transition of power since its independence from France 60 years ago. Almost 7.5 million people cast their vote on Sunday to choose a successor to President Mahamadou Issoufou, who is stepping down after 2 5-year terms. Elsewhere, a prominent Saudi female activist who campaigned for women's right to drive has been sentenced to more than 5 years in prison. 31-year-old Laujane Al-Hatho has already been in maximum security prison for 2.5 years. She and other activists were detained in 2018 on charges including contacts with organizations hostile to Saudi Arabia. International human rights groups have repeatedly called for her release. On Monday, the country's specialized criminal court, which was set up to try terrorism cases, convicted her of various charges, including trying to harm national security and advance a foreign agenda. For Channel 1 News, I am Emily K. Bade.
And now positive developments in COVID-19 vaccines seem to be the silver lining in the dark cloud that has swamped the world for the longest period of the year 2020. Now the Kenyan government plans to roll out the Oxford AstraZeneca type as a frontline candidate within the first quarter of 2021. However, not every Kenyan will receive it, hence the caution not to abandon the ongoing COVID-19 prevention protocols if the infection curve is to be flattened. Kamche Menza puts these developments into perspective amid concerns about the new coronavirus strain that has emerged in the United Kingdom.
Since the first case of the novel coronavirus SARS-CoV-2 was reported in the country, Kenya, like many other African countries, have largely depended on external efforts in the race for a COVID-19 vaccine. Globally, with a number of potential COVID-19 vaccine candidates, only 2 have been approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the Pfizer-BioNTech and Moderna vaccines. The 2 that are said to have an essentially equivalent degree of efficacy at preventing symptomatic COVID-19 infection are already in use in the UK, the US, and Europe. The Ministry of Health has indicated that Kenya, through COVAX, the Global Alliance in Vaccine Development, will avail a COVID-19 vaccine by March 2021. But due to logistical challenges, the order may not be from the 2 already registered ones.
As of today, we have 1 vaccine that is already registered and is in use for COVID-19. That is the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. This vaccine, and together with the next one called the Moderna vaccine, were developed under the same platform. However, this vaccine requires a unique cold chain system that many countries still don't have.
To this effect, the government is targeting another vaccine candidate by Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, which is still under review.
And this particular one, Kenya has actually participated in the clinical trials in our Kemri Wellcome Trust Kilifi Center, and it has shown good efficacy. And based on the parameters that we are looking at, this would be one of the frontline vaccine candidates that we shall use as a country.
With the vaccine in sight, the country is expected to receive a total of 36 million doses, 24 million from the COVAX collaboration, while the other 12 million doses will cost 10 million Kenya shillings to be funded by the government. The projected distribution is that 24 million doses will cover 20% of the population, while the other 12 million doses will cover 10% to reach a target cover of 30% of the country's population. The people who will be receiving the vaccines include frontline healthcare workers, both in public and private sectors, that total 430,000, but forming only 1% of the total population. Then those aged 50 years and above, totaling to about 5.3 million, translating to about 10% of the population. Those with pre-existing conditions totaling to 4.4 million, contributing about 8% of the population. And finally, teachers and security uniformed forces totaling 830,000, forming 2% of the population.
But I want again to reiterate that the vaccine is not going to be a silver bullet, because there's no way we can be able to immunize all the 49 million Kenyans in one go. So it is imperative that we continue to obey the measures that we have put in place.
But with a vaccine in sight, experts in vaccine development have raised concerns over the emerging new variant. Dr. George Orinda is an immunologist at the biochemistry department in Kenyatta University.
We now need to participate in the evaluation of the efficacy and also to establish the other objective regarding the safety of the vaccine, which I think Kemri Welcome in Coast is doing that. But that one, to me, there are quite a bit of gaps which locally we have not addressed. One, we are trying to do an evaluation in a population which the circulating strain might not necessarily be the same with the isolate in UK.
With threats of the emergence of COVID-19 new strains, experts opine that vaccination should run concurrently with enforcement of the COVID-19 protocols if the country is to contain the impending challenges.
The aim here is what we call herd immunity. If for example, we introduce vaccination in this country next year, what is the coverage? What are we targeting in terms of the population to cover even 1 month or 3 months? Now that coverage is what will lead us to what we call herd immunity, because we thought that the exposure to the virus could lead us to herd immunity. But apparently that can be augmented by even vaccination. So if we do the vaccination, then it will give us, but how long?
Questions about the country's readiness in rolling out the vaccine have also been raised.
One, the acceptance, I've just mentioned one. Then the second thing which you need also, what is the demand? Then you have also to understand your population. Have we done the risk assessment to determine in terms of the vulnerability of the individuals we are going to start covering? People normally talk about the health workers, the elderly and all that. But you see, we have to prepare the ground.
Deputy Director, Africa Center for Disease Control, Dr. Ahmed Ogwell, says that the plan is to have all 55 member states embark on the vaccine rollout in the first quarter of next year, despite the scarcity of the 2 approved vaccines in other parts of the world.
But it is not only these 2 candidates that are in play. We have other candidates vaccines that are also in the final stages of doing their stage 3 clinical trials, and we expect that within the first quarter of next year, at least 3, maybe 4 other vaccine candidates will have received emergency use approval. So at this stage, I cannot tell you when that will be, because it is all dependent on the kind of data that each manufacturer provides, and it is also dependent on the company actually submitting their request for emergency use.
So then that means we are banking, now that we are not sure when the stage 3 clinical trials will end, we are still banking on should I say hope that by the time we are ready to roll out, then they will have been approved, they'll have ended their 3rd stage clinical trial.
Indeed, yes. You only roll out when you have a vaccine candidate to approve. And you only roll out after you have bought the necessary doses of that particular vaccine that you have approved. So for now, we are doing preparedness, and we are working with all countries on the continent.
With Africa still struggling with a staggering economy, indicators such as ease of use of vaccine in terms of single or double doses should be considered in the adoption of the vaccine. Bottom line, experts say there is need for the country to embark on its own operational research and surveillance of the existing strains in the country to understand the mutation. The recent emergence of new strains in UK has seen countries impose travel bans in a bid to curb its spread. Kamchi Menza for Channel 1 News.
We now switch gears to business news, and following the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on the economy that led to the slump in value of the Kenyan shilling against the dollar, there has been cries over the increased cost of raw materials for animal feeds. Manufacturers now warn that the high cost of raw materials could cripple the industry and ultimately increase the cost of production in the agriculture sector.
Animal feeds manufacturers often depend on imported sunflower and soya from Malawi and Uganda as raw materials. They are now decrying the high cost of the raw materials. The investors in the animal feed sector say this is posing a threat to the sector, as farmers will have to purchase at high costs, increasing production costs.
Sunflower or cotton or soya, they are increasing day in, day out. We tried to absorb the price hike from our wholesalers, but then it became unbearable because the cost of production versus the price or the cost or the price that we are selling is not compatible. So we had to increase the prices. But the person who is bearing all this heaviness or all this loss is the farmer.
Thika Member of Parliament Patrick Wainaina, who sits in the Parliamentary Trade Committee, says that Kenya's high trade imbalance is costing the manufacturing sector, adding that products that can be produced locally should not be imported. He called on the government to boost the production of soya and sunflower to ensure that local demand is met.
Because basically we are importing so that we can consume. So, and what you're saying is, what is this we can do so that we can ensure that we have got much better local manufacturers for the goods that we are using? The goods that are made here in this country should be actually not be imported, and that is one way of ensuring that the imbalance of trade has been managed.
Manufacturers are now calling on the government to step in to ensure the sector does not collapse. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
Now, increased demand for meat during the festive season has led to the mass slaughter of livestock outside the approved channels. Africa veterinary technicians are warning that contaminated meat is finding its way into distribution channels and posing a health risk to unsuspecting consumers.
Food safety experts estimate that Kenya loses over 100 billion shillings annually to consumption of unsafe foods. This is further compounded by lack of quality assurance and awareness among consumers who bear the brunt from losses in the value chain. According to experts, distribution of unsafe meat has shot up owing to increased demand over the festivities. As such, reports indicate that unscrupulous traders are now slaughtering livestock at night and supplying butcheries and eateries without inspection.
And chances are that some of the meat will not be inspected, simply because we don't have enough staff to do that that role. And that will give other people an opportunity just to slaughter animals wherever they'll be, or in their homes, or in the bushes, and then they transport the meat to the butcheries.
Africa veterinary technicians say poor meat management structures in the country poses a challenge in ensuring meat safety. The association says there is need to have a centralized livestock permit system to make detection of fake permits easier. Currently, devolved units have different permit systems, which make it difficult for security officers to determine authenticity.
In Kenya, meat inspection has been devolved, ownership of slaughterhouses is privatized, and at the same time, we do not have a very comprehensive compensation strategy to ensure that if animals are condemned, then the owner of the animals will actually be compensated. So in such a situation, I think the best alternative is just to transfer some of these facilities to the defense forces.
Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
So even as you enjoy your nyama choma during this season, make sure you're careful about where you buy your meat. Now, elsewhere, global shares climbed on Monday after U.S. President Donald Trump signed into law a $2.3 trillion pandemic aid and spending package, backing down from his earlier threat to block the bipartisan bill. Details of this and other stories from across the globe in the Business News Roundup.
US and SP futures rose 0.60% in the first trade after Christmas holidays, edging closer to a record touch last week. The futures had earlier reversed losses after a cryptic tweet by Trump. Good news on COVID relief bill, information to follow, helped offset worries about further delay in stimulus spendings. European shares are expected to follow suit, with Euro stocks of 50 futures rising 0.42%, though many markets, including London, will be closed on Monday. On the other hand, Japan's Nikkei inched up 0.74%. MSCI's broadcast index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan rose by 0.20%, but trade is slow with many markets still closed. The dollar is widely expected to stay under pressure against other riskier currencies as investors bet on continued recovery in the global economy and a prolonged period of loose U.S. monetary policy. Elsewhere, China is projected to overtake the U.S. to become the world's largest economy by 2028, 5 years earlier than previously forecast by UK-based Centre for Economics and Business Research. The report says that after a strong pandemic rebound in 2021, the U.S. economy will grow by about 1.9% annually from 2022 to 2024, then slow to 1.6% in the years after that. By contrast, the Chinese economy is tipped to grow by 5.7% annually until 2025 and 5.4% annually from 2026 to 2030. China's share of the world economy has risen from just 3.6% in 2000 to 17.8%, and now the country will become a high-income economy by 2023. This is according to the report. Meanwhile, India is also tipped to become the largest economy by 2030. And finally, Britain has urged businesses to make preparations for the end of the transition period prior to the end of trade negotiations, saying many of the changes they needed to make would apply regardless of the outcome of the talks. The government said that businesses needed to understand the new rules on importing and exporting of goods between the EU and Great Britain and the different rules that apply to trade with Northern Ireland. Businesses will also need to make custom declarations on EU trade, while hauliers need a permit to go to ports in the country of Kent or risk a fine. The transition period under which Britain stayed aligned to the EU's trading and regulatory rules ends at 2300 GMT on December 31st. Regina Manyara reporting for Channel 1 Business.
Very well, let's now play. And former Harambee Stars striker Ali Kaju was today laid to rest at Tangana Muslim Cemetery in Ganjoni, Mombasa. Kaju passed away on Monday morning while receiving treatment at a hospital in Mombasa. Now, the 78-year-old was part of the Faisal FC squad, which won the Kenya Premier League title in 1965. He's best remembered for scoring the last goal for Kenya before independence and also netting the first goal for the national team after independence. Former Faisal FC manager Abdullahi Bashasha has urged the Mombasa County government to name one of the city streets after Kaju as a way of honoring the legend. May he rest in peace. Now, Harvey Barnes cancelled out Wilfred Zaha's opener as informed Leicester were held to a 1-1 draw by Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. Barnes lost strike into the bottom corner, salvaged a point for Brendan Rodgers' match-change side, who climbed to second in the Premier League table.
For discrimination in football, weased it through to Thomas. The referee's giving this decision from his angle. It was a leg. For the first time this season. And it's safe. There wasn't much conviction about that.
Well, then it ends up being saved. It's a really weak penalty.
3 in the middle here. Zaha round the back. Counter-attacking goal against one of the great counter-attacking sides. Here on the opening day of the season, Zaha scored. Here's Barnes, because Harvey Barnes has set up a grandstand finish here.
It's chance out of nothing, really. Crystal Palace, they've got bodies in there. Tompkins a bit of confidence at the moment to try this shot, and he really does zip it.
And now Morocco defender Roman Says produced a header that watching Wolves teammate Raul Jimenez would have been proud of to deny Tottenham victory at Molineux and a place in the top 4. Tottenham, who would have gone third with the win, moved to the 5th, splitting the 2 Manchester clubs who have both had a match in hand. Wolves are in the 11th position.
Header from Morocco defender Romain Saez. Semia J scored a dramatic late equalizer against Liverpool to earn struggling West Brom.
And now 6-time champion Roger Federer will miss the Australian Open for the first time in his career as he continues his recovery from a knee surgery. The 39-year-old Swiss, a 20-time Grand Slam winner, has not played since January because of 2 operations. He hoped to return at the delayed Australian Open, which started on the 8th of February in Melbourne. Federer has played in the Australian Open for 21 years in a row. His most recent last competitive match was a semi-final defeat by eventual champion Novak Djokovic in this year's Australian Open.
Djokovic dominates Federer in the first of the men's semi-final, and he gives himself a chance come Sunday for his 8th Australian Open title.
Well, that's it from the Channel 1 news team. But before I wind up, I can sample a couple of your comments from which you have been giving us your insights regarding what you think about the program and some of the stories that we have been airing for you. I'll begin with this one from Sally Salome Wangare. You say, oh my, and the way we have enjoyed Nyama this Christmas, no worries, more worries and problems for us. I think that is regards to a story where we have seen that you should be careful where you buy meat, because as the festive seasons continue, of course, there are those who are bringing you meat that is not certified. We also have this one that is said, it is unfair when a young soul is lost. That is as regards a story we ran of a young boy who passed away. This is Moses Gitonga saying that you're watching us from Meru. We also have feedback from Sabila Kitikoi, who says you're watching us from Western Somalia. Aroni Nicodemo saying you're watching us from Suna West Sub-County. Of course, we appreciate every time you give us your feedback, and just leave us a brief comment letting us know where you're watching us from, as well as what you think of our stories. But well, they say it's time for us to shut down Channel 1 News Hour for now. My name is Achieng'a. Thank you, Kenya, for watching. Our sign language interpreter this evening is Simon Karoda. But as we wrap up, it's time for us to take a look at how your weather will look like tomorrow. And for details of that, here is Yusuf Farah with the weather report. Good night and God bless you.
Tonight, rainfall is expected in areas of the Rift Valley region, and the same will be experienced in the Highlands West. Temperatures drop to 8 degrees in Nyeri, making it the coldest in the country tonight, with dry weather conditions dominating the rest of the country. Good evening. My name is Yusuf Farah. Many thanks for keeping it Channel 1. Time now for your weather update. Tomorrow morning, sunny intervals in areas of the northeastern region from Mandera to Garissa, and the same will be experienced in areas of the central, that is Nairobi and its environs. In the coastal region, Mombasa, Kwale, Kilifi and Malindi, residents of there can go for a walk by the beach or a swim because the sun will be out in the morning. Sunny intervals with partly cloudy conditions in areas of Kisumu and Lodwar will be having sunny intervals. In the afternoon, with the exception of Kisii, where there will be showers accompanied by thunderstorms, remember to keep warm in that region. Sunny intervals continue to dominate the coast, and the same will be experienced around the central parts of the country, all the way to Mandera, Garissa and Marsabit. Lake Turkana Basin and areas bordering Kenya and South Sudan will be having sunny intervals. Taking a look at the temperatures now, Lodwar highs of 36, lows of 24, Marsabit highs of 27, lows of 20, and the capital city highs of 26 and lows of 20. On that note, I complete your local weather forecast. The international weather forecast is coming up in a bit. Remember, wash your hands, stay safe and maintain social distance. I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Until then, have a good night.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design in soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement, event planning, hairdressing, barbering and dreadlocks, beauty therapy, makeup, nail technology, spa massages, teaching skills, TOT, solo business management, and many more. Register now and visit our website on www.verabeautycollege.com. You can also call on 0725 923 550 Nairobi branch, 0728 087 689 Eldoret branch, 0722 22 7428 Thika branch, 0725 000 706 Meru branch. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a TVET approved institution.
When it comes to weddings, you want something that you know most people are gonna like. Gets everyone sufficiently drunk, no fights between the families. Can I see the ring? Oh my God. What? Wow, that's beautiful. That's great. What'd you do wrong? Really? Oh no! You're gonna get me fired! Chris is here. Oh, I can't wait to meet him. If I introduce you, don't say anything stupid or mean. Get out. Everybody!
Pleasure, yeah. Heard a lot of great things about you, and we're excited to have you. Really? Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can interest you guys in a hike. Will it offend you at all if I say no? Absolutely not. No way that I'm not going. How about you? You want to go?
Let's go swimming. Why not? Let's go. I'm gonna go in. Last chance. Come on.
Hey, babe, if we want to get married,
Which we do.
I would love to reopen the floor for that conversation.
I don't think that this is working. And I think 8 months is enough time to know whether something's gonna work.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. The problem with heartbreak is that to you, it's like an atomic bomb, and to the world, it's just really cliche because in the end, we all have the same experience.
Mtazamaji na msikilizaji, ninakusalimu katika jina la Yesu Kristo. Hujambo? Kwa majina yangu ni Bishop Daniel Achieng'a. Ninahudumu na kanisa la Revival Fellowship and Praise Ministry na ninapatikana katika mji wa Narok. Ukija mahali pale utaweza kutupata. Nimekuja siku ya leo ili niweze kukuletea neno la faraja ili tuweze kufarijiana pamoja na wewe. Na neno letu linatoka katika kitabu cha Zaburi 112 na tutaanzia mstari wa 6 tuweze kusikia neno la Bwana vile litakavyo tufariji na litakavyo tuelezea. Nikubalia niweze kukusomea, ninajua utabarikiwa. Neno la Bwana linasema, kwa maana hautaondoshwa kamwe, mwenye haki hukumbukwa milele. Neno la Bwana linasema vizuri, mtazamaji wangu na msikilizaji wangu, siku ya leo ya kwamba wewe hautaondoshwa kamwe. Ni kweli kuna mambo unayepitia siku ya leo, lakini nimekuja na neno la faraja. Nimekuja kukutia moyo, kukuambia usijari, maana Bwana hatakubali uweze kuondoshwa kwa yale unayepitia. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Ni kweli kwa wakati huu pengine wewe ni mgonjwa na ndani ya mawazo yako unafikiria kana kwamba utaenda, kana kwamba utaweza kufa, lakini nimekuja na neno la kukutabiria siku ya leo. Nimekuja kukutangazia ya kwamba hautaondoshwa katika jina la Yesu, maana tunawachilia uponyaji juu ya maisha yako. Haijalishi kama uko nyumbani na wewe ni mgonjwa ama wewe uko hospitalini, lakini nimekuja na neno la kukutabiria, nimekuja na neno la kukufariji, nimekuja na neno kutoka kwa Mungu, maana sauti ya Bwana inasema vizuri siku ya leo kupitia mtumishi wake ya kwamba wewe hautaondoshwa. Hebu kajitie moyo, hebu ukafarijike, maana hautaondoshwa. Pengine biashara yako siku ya leo iko chini, unaona kana kwamba wewe utaondoshwa katika hiyo biashara, lakini niko na neno la faraja, maana Bwana ametia neno ndani ya moyo wangu. Nimekuja kukuelezea hautaondoshwa katika hiyo biashara katika jina la Yesu. Ninaona ninapotazama na macho ya kiroho, pengine jamii yako, wewe na mume wako mko na shida, na pengine unafikiria utaondoshwa katika hiyo boma. Nimekuja kukuelezea kuna miujiza itakayotendeka na hautaondoshwa katika hiyo jamii, maana Bwana ataweza kuingilia kati katika jina la Yesu. Nimekutumia Roho Mtakatifu aweze kukufariji, nimekutumia malaika wa Bwana na neno la Bwana siku ya leo ili liweze kuja na kukutetea. Ninaona kuna vita unazopigana, nimekuja kukuelezea hizo vita hazitakuondosha katika mahali ulipo katika jina la Yesu. Kuna watu mnang'eng'ana na wao kwa ajili ya hiyo shamba, na unafikiria watakuondosha katika hiyo shamba, watakunyang'anya hiyo shamba yako. Nimekuja kukuelezea usife moyo, maana neno limesema wenye haki hawataondoshwa. Bwana ataingilia katika hiyo kesi, katika hiyo kotini pahali mlipo, hautaondoshwa na hiyo kesi haitakushinda, maana Bwana ako pamoja na wewe na atakutetea na atakupigania katika jina la Yesu. Asante sana mtazamaji na msikilizaji, nimekuja kukuambia ujipe moyo, maana Bwana ako pamoja na wewe katika jina la Yesu. Nataka tuombe siku ya leo, na tukiomba tutaomba kwa njia ya imani. Ninajua Bwana ataingilia kati na hautaondoshwa kamwe pahali ulipo, maana Bwana ataweza kuingilia yale yote unayepitia siku ya leo, maana Bwana anatazama yale unayepitia. Ninataka tuombe kwa imani. Baba, katika jina la Yesu, ninaombea msikilizaji na mtazamaji anayenisikiliza siku ya leo, na nimekuja na neno lako, na nimekuja na neno la kiunabii ya kwamba hataondoshwa katika yale anayopitia siku ya leo. Mungu wa rehema, katika jina la Yesu, Baba wa mbinguni, tuma malaika kwa huyu mtu anayepitia katika hali ngumu, katika majaribu, katika hali ya ugonjwa, katika hali ya shida, katika biashara yake. Mungu